Hello, everyone. Today is October 26th meeting of the Ahrb. We have 11 items on the agenda tonight, so we'll try to be brief and concise. We'll start with the first one, which is 12 Park Drive, Blatter Residence, exterior renovation. Anybody on?
I was just waiting to see if more people signed on. I just promoted Michael Blatter to a panelist. I'm waiting for Christina Griffin.
Oh, okay.
Christina's not going to join us. Can you hear me up? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, Christina didn't understand or didn't know this was scheduled for tonight. So I'm the homeowner, and I'll just give you guys an update, which is all I believe we're looking to do tonight.
Okay. Hi, Paul. All right, so I understand this is a submission because the drawings were incomplete or
that's correct,
updated, and we saw the complete submission. If you want to introduce yourself and why are we doing this, and then we can just go to the vote, correct?
Yes.
So go ahead.
How do I share my screen, or do you guys have the plans to share?
Do we need to share?
At the last meeting, you guys requested that we update one of the sets of doors that was not updated and windows, which we've updated, and happy to show that to you.
Okay, so I'll see. I'll go to the site. 1 second, share my screen, and give me a second, please. All right, so this is
the second set there, the Ahrb submission 1015. The first one, right before that. Nope, the other one right prior to that.
This one?
That one, yep.
1015?
Yep.
Okay.
And there you go. And now you can see all the uniform windows that we took at your recommendation last time.
Right. So just to have a quick view of the presentation, this is identical to what we did last time. There were no comments.
That's the back of the house.
That's the back of the house.
And this is the updated sheet with the uniform windows.
Mm-hmm. All right, members of the board, any comments on your end?
No, nothing from me. Looks complete.
No, that looks good. I'm good.
Okay. So
I'm good too. Sorry for being late, but I'm here as well.
Okay. I saw you, so I say hello already. So anyway, so unless there is any other comments from any neighbors, anybody, we go ahead and I move to make a motion to approve this application as submitted. Do I have a second?
Second.
50 seconds. All in favor?
Approve.
Thank you, Michael. Good luck on your renovation.
Thank you for all your time, everyone, for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
And thank you for your positive comments last time.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Good luck.
You too.
All right. So Jennifer, I stopped sharing, right? Thank you.
Yes.
So the next item on the agenda will be 15 Blanchard Avenue, like replacement windows.
I'm sorry, you couldn't hear me. I just promoted Jerry to a panelist.
Okay, Jerry.
Jerry, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Hi.
Jerry. Thank you for having me.
So it's basically a Anderson 400 series replacement windows, right?
Yes, sir.
So please present yourself and we should go ahead with the recommendation, right?
This is my first time doing this. So if you can guide me along.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my name is Jerry Culpa. I'm a homeowner at 15 Blanchard Avenue. And I like to replace my current windows with an Anderson 400 series picture window.
And this is replacement in kind, so there is no changes to the, it's a replacement window. The rough opening will remain the same, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so any objections for any member of the board?
Nope.
No.
So move to approve this motion as submitted. Do I have a second?
Second.
50 seconds, all in favor? Thank you. Good luck, Jerry.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Okay. So next item on the agenda will be 35 Parasite Lane. Fencing.
I don't see anyone. If anyone's here for this application, can you please raise your hand? No, I don't think anyone's here. I don't see the owner.
So why don't we push 35 Parasite Lane to the end of the meeting and please remind me if they show up late. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is 21 Fairlawn Avenue. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna promote Austin to a panelist and Matt Berg to a panelist. Austin, can you hear us? Matt, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you guys see me or no?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. How's it going, everybody?
Oh, hey, Matt.
Sorry, trying to figure out my my volume here. Do you guys need me to pull up drawings for you, or you guys have the drawings?
I have the drawings. I can see them. That might be a good idea to share them. Do we have any neighbors for this application? Anybody? Yeah, why don't we share them? I can share my screen and we can talk about it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's a yes. Okay, I'm sharing my screen here. So,
yeah, so what we're doing for Austin's front porch is replacing everything in kind. Everything that was there was in wood, and now we're just using either composite or AZAC PVC, just updating it with the facelift. Stairs are going to be the same size. We're putting in new stairs, new stringers, new railings. Everything's going to be the railings will be out of AZAC. And the flooring will be out of Trex Transcend. So it's just it's an upgrade, facelift but it's the same exact footprint, same exact look as what was there.
Do we have well, pretty much? Do we have any? Sorry, I can't read the drawing; it's too small. Do we have any exposed pressure treated wood?
No. The existing framing will be there. The only new pressure treated framing that's going in is going to be on the stair stringers, which we'll cut out. We'll put 12-inch on center. Okay. But everything will be covered with either AZAC fascia boards or Trex Transcend decking.
Right. No, because it's the preference of our board. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, that any pressure treated wood will be stained. That's the only comment that I have for this application. Any exposed treated wood, special treated wood, staying, that's all.
Yeah, there's none. Everything you will never see. You're not going to see any of that pressure treated.
Okay, so I'm good. Anybody, any comments from anybody else?
Nope.
No.
Oh, no comment.
All right, so make a motion to approve this application as submitted. Do you have a second?
Second.
50 seconds. All in favor? Thank you all. Good luck.
Okay, thank you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Back to, okay. The next 14 DeVoe Street. Anybody for 14 DeVoe Street?
Yes. Niall, can you hear us? And Christine, can you hear us?
Hi, yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Niall, can you hear us? Oh, he's sharing. Niall, we can't hear you.
Here we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
You see my screen or me?
Both.
You can see the presentation. You got it all? Okay. So yeah, it's Niall Kane. I'm the architect for Christine Obregon and Daphne. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. Daphne Obregon and Christine Perugia. And we're renovating this house, doing extensive renovation in addition to the house on 14 Bow Street, which is right next to Old Park. If you're familiar with the street, it's just sort of perpendicular to the park to the playing field. This is a site plan here. We have the existing footprint of the house. We received zoning variance. As you can see, it's way out of compliance with current zoning regulations. We're doing a small addition in the front. We're rebuilding the second two-story here. And we have a two-story addition in the back and then a one-story, which is very close to the adjacent property line. And that's why we made it one story to pull it back from the property line. Doing the driveway and stone patio in the back and so forth. This is the existing house. Not in great shape. This has been cleaned up a bit in the front already. This is the back of the house. Again, it's not in great shape. Needs a lot of work. West from the house, there's some work that's been done here on the adjacent house. Fairly west porch. This is looking towards Gould Park. To the east, adjacent house. See this entrance. All the houses, by the way, are quite close to the street on this side. So this is really in sort of compliance, so to speak, with a lot of the frontages, even though it's out of compliance with the zoning. This is directly opposite, and again, this is down to the west. On the opposite side of the street, this side is the down to the east. Backyard, pretty straightforward. A lot of trees. Some of these trees were lost in a storm shortly after I took these photographs. The existing house. Sort of a small house. Existing elevations. We're removing all the siding, redoing all the windows as part of the renovation and alteration of this house. This is the new plan here. Again, this is rework in the front. We're reorienting the entry so that it approaches the front, which is really very similar to what's happening on the adjacent home. This is the addition in the back with the one-story. It's one room, but there's a one-story piece here with skylights, and then above this is the master bedroom. See on this floor, it's the master bedroom here. Again, this is rework of the interior. This is the outside now. On the exterior, we're going to do hardy plank lap siding, bring it around the corners, which I always like to do instead of having that corner board. detail, which I don't really like. This is the new entry with some columns, putting a stone base, stone on the base of the building with bluestone, little sort of a opening around the house. All new windows with the cottage style with the divided lights, simulated divided lights. These are weather shield windows, which is good quality window. Slightly smaller dimension siding on the top, which is 7 inches, 4 inches. This what we're putting a little window in the top, which is going to be the attic space. Again, this is redone. This is largely what is there, but we're putting in new windows. This is actually a new window here, new window here. This is existing. We have a little areaway access to the basement that'll have a metal steel railing, black steel railing. It will be adjacent to the driveway. This is the driveway here, coming to the back. And this is the addition here. And you can see it's lower than the existing house, and we've kept the side, which is so close to the property line here, within the sky exposure plane. So this is the little 1-story piece with the skylights above part of the living room, and then this is the master bedroom area here. Again, the master bedroom, skylights adjacent to the that property line to the east. Windows here. Forward, I think. Section through the house, you can see some nice detailing and moldings, and we're redoing the soffits with beadboard. So it'll be done quite nicely compared to what it is now. Section through the addition here. There's the detail of the front entry with column and the stone, and new railing, of course, and a newel post. Details here. The sort of example of the stone base with the bluestone coping. Stone similar to this around the base of the house. This is the Artisan Lap Siding, which is a sort of a nicer hardy plank siding. It has a little deeper reveal, which is a nice look. This is a Benjamin Moore little mock-up of the color of the house, and some sort of similar to the green with a nice soft, warm white for the window trim and the door trim and so forth. This came out black. I don't know why, but it won't be that black, the front door. Front door. It's an example of the weather shield window. Of course, it'll be sort of cottage style. This will be a full pane of glass at the bottom with the divided lights at the top, typically. Of course, it'll all comply with the off-lighting regulation of the building code. Just an example of planting in front, lace hydrangea, some yew bushes, and I can't even remember what this is. This one is, it skipped my mind. But anyway, we're doing some nice planting in front and on the side of the building along the driveway. And that is it. If you'd like me to go over anything else, please let me know. But that's pretty much the scope of the project. Oops.
Well, let me start by saying that I like the direction that the Wall Street is going. It's going to be it's kind of recycling into a very nice and charming street, and this project clearly contributes to, an asset for the town. What can I say? I enjoyed the presentation. I enjoyed the detailing, the care. It's a well put together scheme, plan, selection of materials. Looking forward to see it built.
Yep, we all are.
Brandon, Dipti, Paul.
It's a great transformation. And as you put it, I think it'll be very nice. I think the street is really going to come along with this. Nice detailing. Good luck.
Thank you.
Just one question, does the exist, I know the property has existing chain link fencing, that all goes away as part of the project as well, at the front?
Oh, at the front, yes, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and I think, you know, I know Daphne's been cleaning up the front already and cleaned up a lot of the bushes and had people in there cleaning out a lot of the crap and trying to sort of improve the look of it right from the start. But yeah, there'll be no fence in the front. Okay,
yeah, no, I mean, just to echo my fellow board members, it's a dramatic improvement and really will be welcome to the street. So
after all the years of living in Dobbs Ferry, I was not even aware. I don't think I'd ever been down this street before, but it is quite nice with the houses close together.
It's a great scale. It's with Maple, I think it is. Maple, right? The street behind.
Yes.
Yeah, Maple and all that area, and Belden, of course, is a landmark district. This area is coming out very enjoyable. So what can I say? I make a motion to approve this motion as submitted, this application as submitted. We have a second.
Second.
Deeply seconds. Good luck.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hear this is going to be pending planning board approval.
Correct. So I have to go to the planning board, unfortunately. We did get through the zoning board.
All right.
So one step at a time.
Okay. You have our recommendation.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda is 156 Parasite Street. Patty, are you around? Why don't we? Do you mind pushing this discussion to the end because it's going to be the longest? And
you want me to put him on so he can answer?
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
If he doesn't mind.
Patty, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, obviously no problem with that. You know, I think it'll take probably 2 or 3 hours to get through all the slides. So,
look, let me see. We have 1, 2. Anybody from Braeside Lane?
Yes, there is someone from Braeside. The owner is here.
Okay, so why don't we go to Braeside Lane?
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I thought you meant the next one. That's King Street. Brayside's still not here.
Okay, so if there are a few applications and those, I don't see anything that will be a long discussion. So can you wait a few minutes, Paddy?
Yeah, of course.
All right, so let's move to 35 King Street, second floor extension.
Biao, can you hear us?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Biao. Yeah,
Hi.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
I think my architect is not here.
Yes, he just raised his hand. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Sorry. I just promoted him to a panelist as well.
Yes, it's here. Hey, Summer. Summer. Oh, hi. Hi. You unmute. You need.
Unmute.
Okay.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Do you want me to just go over, Brian, or do you?
Yeah, go ahead, Samuel.
Okay. This is a pretty straightforward renovation or addition of a single-family house. We are just directly raising the roof of the existing attached garage and try to create 1 bedroom and 1 master bathroom on the 2nd floor. And we're proposing that we replace all the sidings and the roof shingles as well at the same time. But most of the windows are going to be intact. I mean, existing windows will be intact. just except for that one big window in front. I mean, if you can see the proposed front elevation, there's a one big window on the right lower corner, and that's the one that is going to be replaced with the same size, but with the enhanced quality. Yes.
A question: Are everybody seeing the presentation, or would you like me to share the screen?
Oh, okay, okay, I will. Okay, sure. I should share the screen here. Let me. Okay, can everyone see this PDF plan?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I think that the easiest one to understand is going to be this front elevation.
Yes.
This is existing. This is proposed. So we're going to be keeping the one-car garage on the first floor, and then raising the roof of the garage to create like second floor addition here. And if you see the second floor plan, this is existing and this is proposed. So that much of a section is going to be added. So as you can see, there's going to be one more bedroom, and there's a connected kind of like a walk-in closet-ish area, and then master bathroom. So those three areas are the ones that we are adding. And at the same time, we are replacing all the existing sidings and roof shingles, but all the windows will be intact, as I said, except for this window from the front. I mean, with the same size and the same, probably different material, because that has been this wood frame with kind of single pane, I guess, and then it was like really old, so we're just replacing it with the same spec as the new ones on the addition. And in terms of zoning, everything is under the code's requirement or limitation, except for the sky exposure plane on the west side, which is, this is like existing non-conforming, so there's nothing we can do about that. So except for that everything must be conforming. And there's not much to it. I'm guessing that we submitted the material for the new siding, which is pretty simple, like James Hardy 7-inch siding with pretty much the similar color as existing, which is kind of deep blue, and all the trims will be white. So that's pretty standard. And this is just another information about like the reflector ceiling plan with on the first floor and then on the second floor. And we are putting in like new split unit air conditioning system for the new area as well. And it's just, I mean, as I said, this is pretty simple. So I wonder if anyone have any questions that I didn't foresee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dipti, Brandon, Paul.
Oh, was there a question? I didn't get.
No. I'm asking comments from the board members.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Do you have photographs of the existing house?
Of course. I actually Biao has the
yes.
photos. Let me just stop sharing, and then you can share yours. Okay.
I'm not sure. In this.
I can do the sharing.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
I saw the.
It's not in the same computer.
Yeah.
Oh, there were pictures in the application?
Correct.
Yeah.
I missed them.
It's this one.
Oh, they were separate. I see.
Yeah.
Here it is. So this is the house. This is existing, and there are better pictures now.
Yeah, this is a window. Will be.
Okay, just wait. So this is the window.
Yeah.
It's a standard Pella, the fiberglass frame with a 2-pane and double pane glass.
And simulated divider glass.
Yes. Double hung.
Yes. Okay, so I guess if you can, let me just. So this is the house, Dipti, here.
Yeah, this is frame.
Yeah, if we can go back to the front elevation with the garage door and the new window.
Okay.
This is it.
Right.
The proposal, you mean?
Yeah, to the proposed. I just have one question.
And I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with what you're
asking, right?
Yes, I know what you're saying, and I agree with you.
Well, I'm not sure if there's a solution for that, Yair.
There is a solution. I'll check the plans.
Okay.
But go ahead and please, let's process.
Can you scroll down to the proposal? Here, sorry, here it is, right? Is there any way?
There is a bigger drawing.
Sorry, yes, I wasn't looking. Is there any way for that new window to have a conversation with the existing garage door? Because right now that window is completely, offset to the garage door, and I think it's an odd combination.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that actually came out from the necessity from the, I mean, it's obvious from the master bedroom, but if you see from the inside that you want the window to be in the kind of middle, so.
So you're talking about this window.
Yes.
Can I just keep conversing and keep adding comments? Because what I'm more interested in is not only to have like this relationship worked out a little better, or the relationship of this center window, but also the relationship to this window. This type of cape style or house, I find it like like the original house appropriate from the design point of view, and this kind of addition throws off balance the appropriateness of the original design for whatever it is. So one way I will address it is carry along the roof lines, even if there is a minor penetration to the sky exposure plane that I wouldn't have a problem in waiving this minor corner over here. Will carry the line, will simplify the house and bring some harmony. And I will treat this entire addition as a dormer rather than a extrusion of the first floor. And with that, you mitigate the issue of the off-axis composition of the window and the garage door. I checked in the plan, I think it's doable. The only sacrifice is you might need to push this back a little bit, but you're welcome to push back the other way to gain the square footage. Those are things that I think will help the facade of the house. That's my opinion.
Not only that, if you look, that existing dormer window is centered on the living room window below. So that's a strong geometry there. If there's some way you can work it out such that, you can have the same kind of relationship with the upstairs and downstairs. Or if you make it what Yair said, I think it would take away from not having a relationship downstairs.
Right. And the other thing is same comments for the rear elevation. You see this break. If you manage to carry along this shed dormer or simplify the roofing, will help the overall compositions of the house. Otherwise, it's from the scope is fine with me. The addition will look good, but you need to try to be respectful to the style of the house and keep the character or strengthen the character of the original. I think the addition that we see here, it kind of throws off balance the entire house.
Yeah, I agree completely, Ayer. I think that the current house, proportionally and visually, is just significantly better than what you're proposing. And I think there's a resolution that's going to give you the same amount of space, particularly if you go back, like Ayer was saying. I don't really mind so much about the roof line in the back, but I agree completely about the roof line in the front. It doesn't work now. It needs to be worked on, and maybe making it a dormer, but definitely bringing the roof line all the way across will, I think, make it acceptable.
So can I just say one thing? So if we just move the that portion of the roof in front, kind of all the way to the left.
You say this?
Right, that one, which means that we are gonna push back the second floor volume, or maybe like cut down or push back. Do you think that and then plus that the more like additional roof line on the back side as well?
What we are talking about is converting this into a dormer, right?
Right. But the thing is that
if you push it back, I would say 2 feet or 18 inches to allow the reading of the original, gable or roof to come to cut across and read this as a dormer rather than, you can do it as a little bigger of a dormer and carry the line of the roof on the side. The intrusion to the sky exposure plane is, in my view, allowable, and push back, on the second floor, push back the entire volume to allow, to compensate for the square footage lost. So you're going to be okay in terms of square footage.
What do you think about the side elevation from there, though? Do you think that a side elevation like from there? So if we push back the second volume.
Oh no, 1 second. So the side elevation is
going
to be close to what you have now.
Oh, so you want to, okay, so you want us to completely like keep the entire this line right here,
and then push like as an addition.
Okay, I mean definitely we're gonna like be over the sky exposure plane, but you said that
no, but the sky exposure plane is gonna happen at this point,
right?
And we have the ability to waive for architectural integrity.
Okay. I mean, that we're not sure. So, I mean, that can be worked out. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Brandon?
No, I was just shaking my head the whole time. So, yes, I agree with all the comments that are being made. I think the front elevation, continuing the roof line, pushing back the volume will definitely better the overall look and give it some relation and keep it within character of what the existing house is. So, but nothing to add.
Do you think that, Simon, do you think that you can revise the drawing?
I mean, like, yeah, we have to get back to the drawing board with the owner, because this has been actually done almost purely out of the necessity of the interior function rather than the...
Let's see the necessity of the interior function. The interior function, it will not be altered. You still have the full master bathroom, and you still have the full bedroom with a walk-in closet, just pushed back.
Right, but the thing is that I'm just afraid that the ceiling height is going to be pretty low, because this is already like edit. And yeah, I mean, we have to see. I mean, I have to like draw and see, but I'm kind of just afraid that we might encounter that.
Actually, in the back, you might be higher because you're going to be tying these lines and get it off.
No, it's not going to change anything there.
Why don't you check and resubmit?
Right. Yeah, we have to. Yeah,
try to work with the character of the house.
Okay, we will. Yeah.
So may I have a question?
Yes.
So you say you push that wall back in the front, so that will get the more narrow the front, the room.
No. You can work within the parameters of the building. Yes, the entire volume is going to be pushed, but I think it's something that Simon can explain to you.
Yeah, okay. I can do that. It's just that we need some more iteration for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the board's like opinion and the comments. I mean, I totally get that. It's just that a matter of like how to execute that with not really, you know, minimizing the actual necessity in the interior. So that's a compromise that we have to make.
Well, yeah. The only thing that I guess we are all in agreement is that there is a character to the existing house that, if replaced by a new style or new character, has to be in harmony to the existing, or keeping the, keeping the same.
I mean, since this is my first time to work in like Duxbury, but I just want to ask you, because like this house was, I mean, I get the point that this is like kind of like one style of the house that is like, you know,
what again?
This is like one style of the house that is kind of prevalent in this village. But this particular house was actually, I mean, if you see the existing house, that is very like off balance. I mean, it's almost like someone didn't actually finish the job. You know what I mean? Like, this is not like, maybe there could have been like one more dormer on the left side, but there isn't.
So you have opportunity to do it better.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot win there. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So any other comments from any board member? All right. So
so we'll get back to you.
If you have any questions, you can reach out to us and we can talk more about it.
Sure.
Looking forward to your next presentation.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. The next item on the agenda is 20.
You get the motion to continue?
Absolutely, sorry. So I make a motion to continue this application.
Second.
Thank you for reminding me. All in favor? Thank you. Okay.
And also 35 Braeside is here now.
Okay, so let's look at this. The next item, 35 Braeside Lane.
Alex, can you hear us?
I can hear you, and I can switch on my sound and video. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. You can see the New Jersey Buffs in the background there. And what do I do, guys? Guide me. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say?
Hi, Alex. Well, let's start by introducing yourself and sharing your screen with your presentation.
Sounds good. I'm just trying to figure out where the button to share the screen is. I don't see it. I see chat. I see raise hand. I'm raising the hand right now. I see Q&A, and I'm typing. Don't see how to share screen.
Okay, Jennifer, can you help me?
It's there's a green button at the bottom of the screen. It should be green, and it says share screen.
No, there isn't. I'm joined by phone, which has a camera and the sound.
How about
but the only way
I share the screen, don't worry.
Okay, sounds good.
Let me just give me 1 second.
You may see me there, Jennifer. I'm on there twice, so you have to let the other computer share the screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll add you. Hold on.
So you sharing? Why share?
If Jennifer allows me, then I will be able to share.
Okay.
Okay, now I can share the screen.
Perfect.
Okay, so do you guys see the map now?
Yes.
So briefly, really simply, all I want to do is the blue line you can almost ignore. Dan told me that fixing the existing fence in a couple of places doesn't really count.
Okay.
The entire blue line is already the kind of fence that I want, which is, I'll show you right here on this line. So if you can, this is the type of fence that it's almost invisible. You can see it's regular wire mesh fence. This is the standard of
a deer fence.
Yeah, it's a deer fence and it goes all the way down. So the blue is where that fence is already installed, but the orange and the red and the green is where I either have no fence, as in the case with the green portion, or I have an old broken down 4-foot chain link fence that looks sort of like, you can kind of see it here. In some places, it's just the upper pipe remaining and there's no more mesh. In some places, the pipe is completely derailed and into the ground. Like in here, you can see it's broken down, and see Lindsay put up some other webbing here on her side to make sure the deer don't get in. And the deer always jump. Like here, it's completely broken down. So I want to demolish the old, I think it's like 100 years old, the old fence where you see the orange and the red. I want to demolish the old and install the new chain link fence, same type as has been around, or that is around the blue. With the only exception being the red, where the neighbor and I talked and he said, well, I would like to pay a little additional so that I can install a better looking aluminum fence. And so he and I are splitting the cost, and I am installing a better looking aluminum fence, which is fine with me. And here, there's no fence that ever existed. I'll show you this portion. So if I move in a little bit, so you can see the fence continuing down the line, but it doesn't exist here. So I'd like to bring it where this orange cone is, or used to be 2 years ago when Google pictures were taken. I would like to bring that deer fence down to here so as to restrict the potential entry of the deer to just the roadway. And I'll try to spray or, put some kind of a spotlight or something else to deter them from entering as much anyway. That's the application.
So John or Dan, any code issues with the limitations of this fence?
No, not code issues, but I believe there's a neighbor that would like to speak.
Okay, so let's hear the.
Jen, is Lindsay?
Yes.
Okay.
Lindsay, can you hear us? Lindsay, you're muted.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. I have no objection to this deer fencing along the orange line, but I question whether there's any need for the fencing to come down the side of my garage along the property line, because it's not a very attractive fencing and it's not shielded by any plantings. And in that area, it wouldn't be possible to shield in any way because it's a very shady area. So if any fence were to be put along there, I would prefer that the fencing that is being put on the south side with the other neighbor.
Could you be more specific on which area you're referring to?
I'm talking about the fence extension. I'm at 13 Braidwood Lane on the left-hand side. And the green line is the fence extension. There's no fence there just now. And it's going to be the deerbuster fence, which, as I say, I don't think is very attractive, is usually put between plantings. The whole view as you come up the lane will not be so attractive.
Alex, can you show me in your screen what area are we referring to?
Oh, in here we're talking about the green line.
Yes.
Right here. And in here, what we're talking about is as you're coming in. So let's see if I can give you a view. This is my portion of the house. This is where my property begins, right here.
Okay.
And I'm proposing this is where my property line is. Again, switching back to that same view. We're standing here and we're looking out this way. So this is where you see where it says frame garage.
Yes.
This is the frame garage. That's the blue.
So Alex, the height of the fence that you're proposing, what's the height?
6 feet. It's the standard for deer. It's the same fence that is on the left here along this.
Well, that's, yeah, it is. But it's usually shielded or baffled by plantings. And the replacement going from the back of my garage to the back of the property, I think would be baffled enough by the plantings that are already along the property line. And I would ask that all those plantings remain just as they are, so that there is a little screening.
Lindsay is talking about this area right here. She's asking for the plantings to be preserved there, which is absolutely no problem, Lindsay. Of course, I would not touch them.
Yeah. But I don't see any need for it to be extended down, because I honestly believe the deer are just going to walk straight down the lane, and that putting a not very attractive fence out there is not going to stop the deer. But if you wanted to mark your property boundaries, then I would ask that you use the black aluminum fence that you're proposing on the other side. At least that would be more in keeping, more attractive approach.
What my opinion is that the door is open. You know, if this fence is to prevent deers from coming into the property, and you have the entire lane open, might be a deterrent, but not going to stop the deer coming into your property. And I do see a point that the location of the fence close to the garage is, even though I don't know what we can do to prevent you from doing it, we can suggest that you reconsider or the height of the fence or a better fence. But I don't think it's, if you do a picket fence, the presence is going to be pretty noticeable. And I don't know if it's a picket fence or aluminum fence, it's nicer. It's a nicer view than the house, unless you want it for privacy, which is a different issue altogether.
So I can comment if you guys want on what I've heard.
Yes.
So one thing is I'm not putting the fence down the property line, so I'm obviously not marking my property line. I was obviously
I was not referring to the property line.
No, I'm responding to Lindsay's comment about whether I want to mark my property
I know
line.
it's about 3 feet back.
Right. So I'm keeping it the same distance from the. I'm keeping it the same distance from the garage here as here. So I'm actually losing some ground on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm aware that it's not going to stop the deer. I'm hoping that it'll reduce the total perimeter of entry point for the deer, which is my entire objective for this whole project. And the third point that I would like to make is that I am perfectly willing to make it into a nicer aluminum fence if Lindsay and I share in the incremental cost, just like I did with my neighbor to the north. Perfectly fine with me. I have no concern with how the fence looks, and I'm going to be the one driving, by the way. All right, so I'm going to be the one who's going to be coming down this lane and driving past this point, right? So looking out and seeing this fence.
I see it, but Alex, I see it all the time. And a few years ago, my view was of total evergreens, and all the 20-foot high evergreens that shielded, that filled that area, are gone. And so it's a very open vista for me coming up the lane to the garage or in my property. So, you know, it's just another thing to look at. But
right.
Okay. Can I intercede? I think that fences is something that we have, you know, as long as they're compliant and within the typology of fences that we usually grant approvals. It's not something that we get involved. It's more an issue of a peaceful neighborly relationship. So unless anybody disagree, we can approve the orange and the reds and everything else. And you might want to, you know, come into an agreement with your neighbor to what type or what configuration of the fence on a different form, because, you know, we can talk forever until you guys work out an understandable solution. But this is, I will, you know, I don't have a problem with either way. I'm more interested in you guys being happy with each other. That is a discussion that you can have off.
Certainly, but I don't really don't wish to have a deer fencing in that section without any screening.
I think it's something that we cannot prevent.
Yeah,
and I think it's so. Dan, do we have to? Are we voting on this or recommending?
It would need approval.
I'd like to make a comment.
Alex, would you be opposed to putting the aluminum fence there?
Not at all, as long as Lindsay agrees to share in the incremental cost, just like the neighbor to the north agreed.
Before we go there, I know Paul has a question as well. This is a unique property because normally the front of the house, we don't approve a 6-foot high fence, right? And
correct.
So, I mean,
this is a weird situation because it has no real frontage on a road. Mm-hmm. So well, even with the accessory structure with the garage that was built a couple of years ago, that is in the front.
But the is typically the property line off of the street address, right, Dan? So I mean, when I look at this from the way I interpret it, right, is that this entry point, what we're talking about, is the front property line of the house, right? Because it's the driveway.
What you want to do is limit it to the height of 4 feet.
Well, I'm not saying that. I mean, if there's a question of where that is and what it needs to be.
But Brandon, we already went through this and created. We can't have a situation where the Ahrb or the permit office, you know, on one application deems this to be the front, and on the other application deems this to be the front, or another application deems this to be the front.
We are not arguing what's the front. The front is the term.
This was the front for the previous application. This was considered the front, not this.
Right, when the garage was approved.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you.
Yes.
Alex, I have one suggestion, if you might be willing to do that. Where your orange line fence stops, would you be willing to go in perpendicular so that you close it up into the garage? It's never going to give you a complete closed loop, But this way, at least you avoid that green line and you get a closed loop that way. Just turn it so that it's perpendicular and closes into your garage.
That's an idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
If you're willing, in this way, everybody will be.
I'm not willing, guys, because that doesn't accomplish any of my objective.
Which is?
Which is then I have more open than I actually, you know, well, right here. All of this is open. It's all the same thing.
90% of the perimeter to
right. So if I measure the distance between this point, if you can see my mouse, and here, I'm talking about leaving 8 feet or whatever, 10 feet open for the deer. If I do it this way, I'm leaving about 40 feet open for the deer.
Not really.
So this is suboptimal.
Really, you limit, the difference will be, I don't know, I see 10 feet. That's the differential in perimeter of fence.
Sorry, I'm not following here.
I'm sorry, I cannot share the screen, but you see the distance between the orange line and your garage is what, 10 feet, something like that?
Yeah, it says 15 feet actually.
Okay, 15 feet. So how long is the green line?
Hold on, I'm gonna do it in paint so that we can see. So if I create a line like this, let's make it blue. If I create a line like this,
okay,
then my purple, or let's do black here.
Okay,
or actually blue. Okay, so that's.
We get it. All I'm trying to say is
right to here. Then the distance between here, this point, and here is much longer than the distance between here and here. It's 3 times longer.
No, it's not, because you're measuring wrong. We're talking about linear footage of fence and not distances from your house to the front.
No, I'm talking about the open line.
Yeah, but
open line for the deer to enter.
No.
If I do it my way, this is the open line for the deer to enter.
In any
right here.
Case, that was a
if I do it that other way, then this is the open line for the deer to enter.
When we meet, we can discuss it personally. The whole goal here is to try to accommodate the visual need of your neighbor. If you can't,
I am perfectly willing to accommodate the visual need of my neighbor, as I said. You know, just like I accommodated, just like I accommodated here.
It's something that your neighbor can agree to.
Can I say something here?
I think I just lost you guys.
Yeah.
Hold on. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
My AirPods ran out. I mean, this whole neighbor
it's an issue of money. Can I see the samples of the fence that you're referring to in terms of the aluminum fence?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not big money at all. So here is the aluminum fence that I think would be a good replacement, right? It's probably 2 or 3 times more expensive than the deer fence.
Okay. So.
And the fence detail of the deer fence is, where's the, here's the deer buster fence. But you've seen the deer buster fence. It's, you know, it's much, I agree that, you know, look, the aluminum fence is prettier, but it's also more expensive. So perfectly willing to put it up.
It's my understanding the stretch of aluminum fence. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you, Paul.
Fence, that you're sharing the cost with your neighbor. That's going to be beneficial to both you and your neighbor in terms of keeping the deer out of your yards. This stretch of green has no benefit to your neighbor whatsoever. And it's right up against their house. That should be aluminum. That should be totally, that's your cost, because that's not keeping deer out of her yard. Whereas the aluminum fence that you're sharing the cost of is beneficial to your neighbor as well. So that's going to help him keep deer out of his yard. So I just think
no, I disagree with you, Paul. The deer that is paying for half of this fence right here, the neighbor that pays for half of this fence here is not doing it because he's afraid of the deer. The rest of his house is open to the deer. He doesn't care about the deer. He just likes the looks of it better, which is exactly the same situation that we have with Lindsay here.
I don't think you can expect someone to share the cost of a fence that's not beneficial to her.
I don't expect it. I'm not asking.
Well,
I'm not asking.
I'm not. I can't vote for it.
I think, Alex, you would get approved if you would install the aluminum fence.
Because you're not going to unless you do. Because I'm also not going to vote for it.
Right. So that's it.
I need 3 out of the 4. So you either put it in yourself and get approval, or
interesting. So you guys do rule over fences, right? It's even though it's within code, you do have the right to either approve it or not approve it.
Yep.
Yeah, because I think the deer fence will look like crap there. How's that?
Well, once it goes to the board, then it becomes a vote.
I'm just confused about the rules, guys. Maybe someone needs to explain the rules to me.
Okay, Alex, that's your answer. Once it's in front of us, we rule.
So you do rule on fences, and the fact that it's within code doesn't matter.
In this case, yes. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dan or John.
No, you're correct.
No, you're correct. It's architectural review. It's the look of the fence.
So Alex, let's make it short. Can you do it or you can't? If not, we move to a vote and that's it.
I can do it, guys. It's not going to improve my relationships with the neighbor. It's actually going to make it a lot worse.
All right. So I make a move to approve this application subject to the green line to be
being aluminum,
to be consistent with the red, which is aluminum. Clear? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Brandon first, second. So second, all in favor. Thank you all. Thank you, Alex. Good luck with your fence.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Alex.
Next on the agenda is
20 Summit
Terrace.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, sorry, Patty, I know that you're listening, but it's taking longer than I expected.
Sherry, can you hear us?
Hi. Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Okay, well, I can't hear anybody, huh?
We can hear you.
Oh, good.
Okay.
All right, Sherry, you start.
Yeah, so I'm just, I sent an application. It's just, I decided to simplify and keep the brick, and the cedar I was always keeping, and I was just going to paint it. I sent the colors. It's on the same palette. It's a mid. The cedar would be a medium brown, which is a gunmetal, and then the brick would be a lighter, a Hearthstone. And I'm just asking for application on that.
Do you have? Can you share the screen for your neighbors to?
No, I don't have it. I did send it to you. I'm at home, so I don't have it on my screen. Okay, so I could hold it up if that would help.
I'll share my screen and
Thank you.
All right, so this is cedar shingle to be painted, brick to be painted. Benjamin Moore, we'll see the color. Lattice to remove and replace with white railing. Okay, let's look at the pictures.
So this was just a mock-up. So the cedar here is actually gray, what you're seeing. It's currently, it's brown, worn. So it's going to be painted a similar color, similar gray. And then the brick to the right where the door would just be a lighter color gray.
So if I understand correctly, the brick is going to be painted gray and the cedar?
A darker gray.
A darker gray. Do we have the chips of the color?
You do.
This is it?
Exactly. So it's the first one on the top is going to be the brick, and the one below it would be the cedar.
Mm-hmm. And this is what, the railing picture?
That's just a simple railing that would replace it. It is a very small piece of lattice you see up in front. If you go back to the first one, you'll see it right next to the door on the left. You see the, okay. Exactly. I might put a little bit to the right, I mentioned, of the front door as well, just so it's symmetrical, and just a white railing.
So it's a white railing. All right. Any comments? Deepti?
No, it looks fine to me.
Brandon? Okay.
No.
Paul?
Fine.
No objections? Okay. Any neighbors? All right, so we move to approve the proposed amendment to the approved original project. So do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sherry.
Good luck.
Have a great night.
Good night. So we have 285 Clinton Avenue.
I'm going to promote Greg to a panelist and Michelle Yeager. Greg, can you hear us?
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Okay, share screen. Okay. Okay. So this is a continuation of a previously approved application. We have some fence changes, and we have the addition of a hot tub element and of a just a surface mounted slide. So this is a flag lot. So it's none of this is visible from the street. The fence was previously approved, but the client decided to make a change in how it would run around the perimeter of the yard because they really love their backyard open space. They didn't want to cut it off at the fence. And I guess hot tubs and slides are fun. So while you're having a pool installed, it just made sense to include this at this time. The fencing is aluminum fencing in keeping with what's going on at the adjacent properties. The hot tub in ground matching the pool architecture. The slide would just be a surface mounted slide that would most likely be removed when his children are older. And the fence is a very standard aluminum fence, very elegant and simple. And the hot tub would be an in-ground hot tub made in the same fashion as the pool. Same construction, same gunite with a bluestone surrounding. And it would match the rest of the previously approved patio. I'm not sure if there's any other questions, but it's go over here and just it would go in this location around the perimeter of the yard. That's it. Let me know if you guys have any questions.
Straightforward application. Deepti, Brandon, Paul?
No, unless any neighbors, I think it's fine.
I agree with Deepti. Looks good to me.
Same.
Okay, so I move to make to approve this application as presented, submitted. We have a second.
Second.
50 seconds. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck.
Good. Thanks. Aye.
All right. The next one is 46 Broadway. Anybody for 46 Broadway?
Yes. Savita, can you hear us? Savita, can you hear us?
Let me unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hey, hi, this is Savita. By any chance you see Sid on the call?
No, I don't see him on the call.
Okay. So, okay, let me go ahead and share because he has given me all the material. Okay, so let me share my screen. Let me know when you can see. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we are fixing basically the cracked wall, retaining wall. This is one and this is the other one. So this is the north side and this is the south side and this is the garage and this is the driveway. And then here it is joining the stairs and the remaining all is grass. As far as the material is concerned, it is going to be interlocked. Where is it? He has given me all the details. Okay. It's going to be interlocking masonry block, which looks like this. And height-wise, it is going to be this height. And then the north side is this height. Basically, we are fixing and we are making it better because it used to be a concrete and it was all like a broken and falling apart. So that's all.
Deepti, Brandon?
No, it looks good.
Brandon?
No, agreed. Looks fine to me. It's better, definitely better than concrete walls there.
Paul?
I agree. I agree. It's better.
Make a motion to approve this submission. Do I have a second?
Second.
50 seconds. All in favor? Thank you, Savita.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Good luck. It's an improvement.
Thank you.
Now we have 21 Rochambeau, right? Yes.
I don't see anyone here for 21 Rochambeau.
All right, so if no one here, we'll move it to the end, and let's see 156 Palisades. And thank you in advance for Patty to be patient.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you, Patty, for being patient.
Not a problem at all. Do you want me to share my screen?
Of course.
Good. Okay, right there. And slideshow. Okay, can you see it?
Yes.
Good. Better than last time. Last time we had a little problem. I don't know what it was. Okay, so this, a little bit of background real quick why we're here today. The planning board has asked to have a joint meeting. So you guys are having a joint meeting with them on, I think it's November 5th. And I suggested that instead of you kind of seeing stuff for the first time at the joint meeting, it would make sense for us to catch you up. I know that Ahrb is already pretty familiar with this, but I know Dipti was on the site walk. I think you were a long time ago. So I think what the idea tonight is just to kind of bring you up to speed of where we have gotten from and what we've gotten to without going into the past. This is a project on Palisade Street. It's up here near the corner of Cedar Street. There's a small existing house in pretty bad shape on the property that's going to be taken down. And when we first made the application, which was a year ago, September, we made the application to the Board of Trustees because we asked them to consider fixing the numbers that are in the MDR2 zoning district. That had never been actually figured out for site coverage and some other things. So that was forwarded to the planning board in January, and we've been before the planning board since January. They started, we obviously got hung up a little bit with COVID, but they started working on guidelines to look at what would make sense on this street for what the real numbers should be. So the first thing I'm going to show is the report that Steve Brosnahan, Rob Lane, and Ahrb put together, which identified some guidelines that would address the character of the existing street. Here, if I go the right direction. So what they came up with was 5 things that contribute to the street character. The first was the creation or really recognizing the public-private transition zone that kind of happens on this street. That yes, you've got a curb and you've got the fronts of properties, but there's a soft zone between the sidewalk and the houses that is very contributory towards the street having a good character. So they identified that as something that should be taken into consideration with any redevelopment on this street. Their second was dealing with frontage, what the actual frontage should be on the lots. And they got into, when I'm talking about frontage, and Ahrb, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, the idea with frontage was prompted by the fact that we have a larger lot, basically one of the bigger lots. It's number 2 up here, one of the bigger lots on the street. So we have 76 feet of width facing the street. Many of these lots are 40-foot wide. So, and even though the 40-foot wide lots might have buildings, for example, 9 here that go property line to property line, the width of those buildings is not exceeding 40 feet. Whereas if we did the same kind of thing up on 2 here, we could have a 60-foot wide building facing the street, and it would be out of scale. So what they did is they looked at what the frontages were, and they basically came up with that no building should exceed 40 feet in the front plane that's addressing the street. It can step back from there, but it has to be dramatic enough that you really are not reading it as a overly wide building on the street. The third thing was kind of explain, this idea of the composition of horizontal components to the buildings all on the street. And the fourth kind of combines with that, which is the facade composition, the punched windows. So this was the example that they had in their report, showing a couple of buildings on the street, how there's like this strong kind of horizontal line to it, whether it's a gable above or not. And the windows, they're punctures in the facade. The fifth element, which is the one that I think we still haven't quite gotten all in the same place with, is massing and coverage. When we started this application, I think we were looking for 7 variances, side yards, front yards, all kinds of stuff. We have now gotten it down to where we only need one variance to the existing numbers, and that's on coverage. The street currently permits 27%, but the 27% is the same as in the MDR1, where you're allowed 1 unit per 2,500 square feet of lot area. And this zoning district, MDR2, allows 1 unit per 800 square feet of lot area. So if you realize you've got more units, and if you're going to be allowed to have those units in the building, then you're going to need to have a bigger than 27% site coverage. And no one has disagreed that that's the case. The only thing right now is figuring out what that number should be. At one point, we heard that it had been set at 40. And I think there's still a component of that is factual, that it is set at 40. So we've proceeded with the 40. They've come back and said that they want a sliding scale that reduces oversized lots, which I think we're one of 3, which we're basically arguing we don't think that really makes sense because it doesn't work. But that's something that still needs to get worked out. So here is what they were showing, massing guidelines for the height, site sections and things, the idea of setbacks at upper levels. So then the next step that happened was Rob Lane decided, let me take what we're talking about and see how it works. So he, using our site, he basically looked at how he could create a building on that site that fit with the requirements. He has the side yard setbacks the way we have. He's looked at having a component that, this is that kind of zone along the front where there's kind of a soft edge, it's not a hard edge, that the building doesn't exceed, the part of the building is closest to the street doesn't exceed the 40 feet. He also, one of the big challenges on this street, and I don't think anybody has a final answer on this one, is what really should we be doing with parking? I don't think there's any way we're going to do any projects on that street that don't provide parking, even though we've got a large parking lot across the street that's relatively unused. So we've just taken the stance that we have to provide at least one parking space per unit. We also have taken the position that even though we could ramp up a driveway to the backyard and have a big exposed parking lot in the back, that would really be an unfortunate thing to do. So the real solution is trying to put parking into the building without any part of the building looking like it is parking facing the street. So Rob kind of put something together on that with the idea of a ramp coming down. You'd pull in and you'd have 6 parking spaces in the bottom. Unfortunately, when he laid this out, it's pretty difficult to actually negotiate cars in this. You'd have to have cars that could pull in and then slide to the side, which we haven't invented yet. But, we weren't taking anything that he did literally. We were taking it as an idea and we've followed from it. So this was the idea that he came up with in the massing, and he kind of compared it to this lower portion was what we had at that point as the current submission. And the upper is the plan that he thought would be more in keeping with what the board was, what the guidelines were evolving to be. Same thing with the massing. Upper is what Rob came up with. The lower is what we had at that point. So now we've moved into where we've gotten to in the design. Here's the plan that we're looking at, the site plan. This is how we're fitting into the street. We've got 3Ds at the end of this that you'll be able to see, which I think will help understand it a lot better. The issue that we're looking at is the building coverage of the buildings in this area. Average right now, 42.76% site coverage. If we had our building in at the 39.99% that we have done it, we would actually reduce that average, not increase it, which means to me that I think that should be a viable thing, but of course I don't make that decision. So here's the site plan blown up a little bit. Basically what's happening here, you've got the sidewalk, you've got an entrance into the building. So we've got an animated front, people walking in, coming in. We've got a portion of the front that's actually a deck that is, softens the edge so it's not a hard edge facing the street. And the front, the only part of the building here that's solid is this line here. And then we set way back to where the driveway comes back into the building. You'll see that in more detail. These are the tables on the side. Actually, this shows this a little bit better. We also have an idea that Rob suggested, which I thought was a good one, is we want to make use of this backyard. So having a little walkway that came up. One of the earlier designs had a driveway that came along in the setback, which gave us a little bit more room in the building, but the neighbors were very concerned because their building is literally like 3 feet off the property line. So we're respecting the 10-foot side yards, and we're also ramping this down with a retaining wall alongside. So cars coming and going won't be something that you see. One quick challenge to point out on this site is we've got a 2-story change of level between the sidewalk and this corner. It's actually a little bit bigger than 2 stories. So we're building into a hillside with this. So that's something that makes our situation a little bit more challenging. Most of the conversation so far about height and how it works has been taking the standard on the street, which is a flat lot. into consideration. We're dealing with something slightly different, though I should point out that this design currently complies with the current height requirements for this zoning district. They are talking of changing that in a way I think would still be very close. These are our tables, and the only thing on all these tables that we're not compliant with is the building coverage. Actually, building coverage and impervious coverage. We're allowed impervious 54%. We're just under 60%. The building, the coverage you're permitted for a building in the zone is 27%. We're at 39.99. We're hoping that changes to 40, at which point we would be compliant. And we're thinking the logical for the impervious would be increasing from 54 to 60, which at that point we would also be compliant. So here's how we've laid out the plans. This is the garage at the lower level. This actually accommodates 6 cars. We've got a garbage storage room. This is the entrance coming in. We've got it. We've always intended for this to be ADA compliant. So we've got the ability to come in and use the elevator. We also, at that point, so you're not, taking a hard way to get to the first floor. We've created a split level here because of the terrain, getting down for the garage, getting walk in off the street means that our entry level is a half story above the garage and a half story below the first floor. So when you come in the lobby, you'll have a half flight up, and you'd come to this first floor area. If you come in, you can continue up in the stairs, or you can use the elevator to go to the other 2 floors above. We've got 2 units on each floor for a total of 6 units. Our units are around 1,200 square feet. 2 bedrooms. They're nice. This is not intended to be a minimal kind of building. This is something we're trying to do, something that provides nice apartments with fabulous river views. One of the hard things that we worked on was coming up with the configuration so that even though we were shoving this part of the building back so far, we would still have these 3 units having river views. So they've also got a deck which also helps screen and conceal the garage door. So we've got 6 units, all of them with terraces facing the river. This is a section showing how those decks work and how the deck is up a half story off the site, which is actually consistent with a lot of the other buildings on the street. On the top floor, even though this is already set back, we set back the top floor level to create a terrace on the top. So that helps soften that building a little bit more. This is just showing how these split levels work. So, and also you can see what's happening with our grade. Our entry is below grade on the north side of the building, but it's full above grade facing the street. If you came in, you'd have a half flight down to the garage and a half flight up to the first floor, and then it's just 3 floors. We were able to shrink the height. We've gone with 8-foot ceilings, 8.33 ceilings here. We've gone with 9-foot ceilings here. And what we did is we did this first floor where it splits it even. Everything above it, it cheats it a little bit to get that top so it's not too high. Here's that section in a larger detail so you can see it. This dashed line is the existing grade of the property. So we're actually having to excavate out in the back to get get sunlight and a nice feel for the windows in that unit. And then here are the elevations. These are very diagrammatic at this point, although I think they demonstrate a kind of approach that we're taking to it. The puncture of the windows, the horizontality, the combination of massing, the way things are stepping back. This is just showing, actually here, this is just showing how the different components set back from the street. So we're back to here is 10 feet to the front of the building, which is compliant with the code. We then set this portion of the back 19 feet. We have this upper level is setting back 26 feet. And then that back portion of the building is actually, well, to the porches there, it's 38 feet. To the wall, it's actually 46 feet. So we've got enough of a ramp down that we can stage going into the garage. And that just skipped to the next page, which is fine. This is getting a little bit, larger scale, so you can see how some of the components are working. And this is showing how the different widths work. So that portion that's back 10 feet from the street is 18 feet wide. The portion that is set back 20 or whatever it is 39 feet wide, which is less than the 40. And then it only becomes a 56-foot wide building at 46 feet back from the street. Did I have anything else before that? No. Okay, so here's some just images from a 3D model that we put together with it. This is aerial looking from the northwest, aerial looking from the west, aerial looking from the southwest. This is looking from the south, looking from the east, looking from the north, and then we're down on the street level. We're trying, I think it shows what we're trying to do is pick up these gable forms with just this one part of it. Everything else is a flat roof. So as you kind of come down, you see how the massing sets back, how the porches work in the feeling of activity on the street. The garage set way back into, you can't even, it's back here. It's so far back, hopefully you just would not see it. And then just looking up the street, the way the fronts of the buildings kind of all, these are set back about the same 10 feet as we are there. The building on the corner comes all the way out. And actually, once we get further south than these buildings, most of those other buildings are actually up on the sidewalk line. So this is kind of a good, kind of median in between the two. So that it sets back, but at the same time, it doesn't look incongruent with the rest of the buildings. And I think that is it, unless you want to see photographs of the street, which I can show.
Thank you, Patty. I think we all know the street by now. Brandon, do you need to see, Paul, do you need to see pictures of the street, or we all know the street? Okay, so.
Yeah, I hear one of the advantages, you can look at it from Google while you're on.
That's right. That's right. Okay, thank you, Patty. Thank you for your patience also again. Well said. This is the main idea of this conversation is to bring up to speed the rest of the board for the joint meeting with the planning board. Not necessarily, we can share our comments. We can briefly start, talking in general, but before doing that, Dan or John, what is, as it is now, if we go by the guidelines, what is the permitted building coverage? I think we are in the 30s, 33, 34, is that correct?
So right now it's 27%.
No, 27% is according to the current code, but based on the guidelines that we worked out with Rob and Steve, we increased it to 34, I think it is. Dan?
Yes. Did you hear me?
No.
What did you say?
It's 27%.
27%
now, right. In the MDR2.
And if applying the guidelines, the district guide, the character guidelines that we're working out with everybody, with that monthly, if we apply the 40% with a sliding scale?
Yeah, I think you're talking the sliding scale reduced it to 32.8% for this one lot.
Right. So
but
basically,
none of that has been approved.
That's correct.
So we're going by the current.
Right.
So we are going by the current. So we are now I'm just making this comment just to bring up to speed the rest of the board on the
sure
that happened in the last few months. So our discussions with the planning board members, that it's okay to increase the building coverage. Not to the degree that Patty is pushing, it's almost 40%, 39 and change. But increase it a little bit, and the permitted lot cover, building coverage now is at 27%.
Right. The average though is right now on that street is 42%. So if you adopt
the average, depends how you measure the average. Our method of measuring is different from yours.
I don't think so, because they used our calculations.
No. We spent some time and we took the anomalies of the block or the outliers of the block out of the equation because he was throwing the numbers all over. So there are many ways to skin this cat, of course, but there is only one way to look at, in my opinion, to look at this proposal, and it's if it's coherent and it's contextual to the street, and if it makes sense massing-wise. And thank you for addressing the issues that we brought up in terms of the layering of the soft zone, because for better or for worse, Palisade is a very special street, I think, in which there is a character that can be, there is a character that can be enhanced, identified, enhanced, and preserved. And I think it's going to be a very successful street for the future, and the way that you read the outliers or the big load coverage buildings, I think there is a pattern that of urban form that happened that gave reason to the buildings that you see now, like the middle of the block, that the big buildings or the 4-story building that happens. They happen in relationship to Elm Street, to the upper streets, above Main Street. There is a very interesting logic. One I would like to share it with you when we meet, or when we meet on the board. So that said, this street is characterized by a typology that is predominant and gave reason to the layering that we discussed. One of the questions I have for you is, even though, let's say that your building is compliant, why does it seem so much bigger than the two neighbors, two adjacent neighbors? One thing that comes to mind is the composition that you decided to apply, which is a narrow sliver building with a gable roof, and like 3/4 of the building was a flat roof, may not be that compatible in terms of character. I think there is something off in that composition, but we can discuss it later. The other thing is, the building, it appears like 4-story high. And if I see the front elevation, there are angles that is acceptable, but there are angles, especially when you see it in the front, it's 4-story plus the gable. And even if you push back 15 feet, the next set, the massing for the next side, still doesn't make it in terms of us contextual. And I'm not talking to reducing the size of the building. I'm talking about a different organization of the facades, organization of the massing. There is still work to do, in my opinion. And I know that we've been discussing these issues forever, and at the end, I know you're capable to work out something that is acceptable and well proportioned. So in any event, those are my comments. We like to, before the joint meeting, to circulate the character guidelines. I'll send it to everybody in the board, to everybody to be in the same page. But other than that, I expect to be an interesting conversation. And of course, there is these two other issues that are not necessarily pertinent to the context or contextual of the massing and proposal or architecture, which has to do with density, affordability, parking. Those are issues that we have to tackle somehow in the village. And I don't know if this is the place to do it. I'm saying this is the site to do it, but it's definitely a conversation that needs to be addressed seriously.
Yeah, I mean, that was where we started. One thing I didn't mention is that this lot supports 10 units, but we started with 8 units, and then we cut it to 6 units at the suggestion of the board. What we can't do is do what Rob worked out, which was at the 38 or 32.8%, is he had all 1-bedroom units. And this doesn't pencil out economically with 6 1-bedroom units. So, nor do I think it really serves, all of the needs in the community by 6 1-bedroom units.
Yeah,
so,
when we can't have all the discussions at the same time. Agreed. So it's a multi-dimensional discussion. When you mention financial viability of the venture, of the real estate venture, I'd like to see those numbers, but I don't think they're very relevant to the contextual discussions. It's either one or the other, including parking.
Yeah, which we've included.
And the, I don't know, we have the impervious surfaces, the lot coverage, building coverage, massing, building height, windows. There's so many issues. Our goal is to find a balance and to not compromise the character of the village. There is a reason people want to come to our village, and it's because of the character that we give to the village and we preserve. So it's a delicate balance. We have to make sure that we don't just, we maintain the character that we are trying to protect, and I think it's a great challenge it's a great site, it's a great challenge, and hopefully will be a successful one.
Yeah, we want to get past the challenge and onto the success part.
Well, you didn't choose, comply with the current zoning, and we're fine.
The current zoning has a history, which I know better than anyone else, except perhaps the village attorney from back then. It was supposed to be determined and worked out with the planning board. It never was supposed to be 27% and 54%. Because that just simply doesn't make any sense.
That question, is that code now, current code?
Current code is 27 to 54.
So that means that if you provide a building for current code, you'll get approved faster than at 54% or whatever it is now.
I've been doing a terrible disservice to the client as well as to Palisade Street in the village.
That's absolutely not true. I'm in an MDR2 and I have 4 units. I have enough parking. I absolutely disagree with that. Not only that, for 10 units, you would need to provide 20 parking spaces.
No.
It would not work in that location, Patty.
We're proposing 6.
I know, but
we have the required parking.
Even 6, perhaps you need to look at that massing again. That little narrow strip that you have with the gable on top is just simply does not work with the massing that you have now. It needs to be set back with the rest of the street. I think you need to go back to the drawing board. Seriously, as far as I'm concerned, this is just simply not working.
Dipty, the building here is at the sidewalk line. The building here is sitting forward of where we are. So we are back further than our 2 neighbors.
But I don't think what Dipty is saying is what you're referring to. I think it's a composition of that sliver gable unit with the rest.
And the difference.
But I think that it's the first time I hear that comment from Dipty, but I share the same.
Right. Well, we're not married to this pitched roof. We picked that up from Rob, and we said, let's put a pitched roof on it. I mean, this could easily be a flat roof.
Yeah, but if
that'd be fine.
You're the designer. You need to present something that works, Patty.
We had all flat roofs before Dipty, and we were asked to consider putting a pitched roof on, so we considered it.
Yeah, but
showing ideas.
But despite the fact whether you agree or disagree.
I don't disagree that this would be, as a starting place, an idea that could be evolved further. But I also think it would be fine to have a flat roof on it. The reason we went to the pitched as the request of the planning board was because most of the examples that they're looking at in terms of what the character of the street is the buildings with pitched roofs. If you actually look at the buildings on the street, what you find is that the reality is, yeah, you've got a lot of these that are pitched, but then you start getting down a little bit further. Actually, I get past these. And if I ever get far enough into this, no, I don't have them anymore. Sorry about that. I took those out to make this smaller. But when you get down the street, you've got a whole series of, flat roof buildings. So
those are the buildings that we identified as outliers. I'm not, look, by now you understand that I'm not pushing for pitched roofs.
Right.
By no means. But
so this is a building that everyone has commented as being desirable?
No, this is a building that is an outlier on the street. And just as an anomaly on the street.
It is an anomaly. I was going to say the same thing. However, it's not.
Take it as a
earlier, not that you guys did, I hear, earlier in the process, the planning board identified a series of buildings on the street that they said we should serve as examples. This was one of them. So
examples of for the punch windows
of what the character of this street is. This is one of maybe 6 that are like this, but this is one that people said they liked.
You're trying to imply that you can make like all the buildings look at this one.
No. I'm saying that this has to be in the mix of what we're thinking about. If you look at this upper here, you see other buildings that are flat roof. I'm just saying the building doesn't have to have a pitched roof.
No, I'm not saying that either, but as far as I'm concerned, that's the only building. Maybe across the street there is one more building, but that's it.
With flat roofs?
Yes. How many buildings on Palisade, on your side of Palisade there with flat roof? That one and maybe another one?
Here, 1, 2, right here, plus 3 there, and then you get down. There's a 4th here.
Look at the. I have the historical maps. Look at how they work, and
are you able to see this?
It's a long street,
right?
It goes all the way from Chestnut all the way to.
Agreed, but here's what Steve Broadway did.
Thank you. That's the street. That's the streetscape. Look, you picking at
flat roof.
Can you count the buildings? Can you count the buildings?
One flat roof.
And you have only
2 flat roofs. 3 flat roofs. 4 flat roofs.
No. Wait. We can go together and count them together. You'll see I'm right.
Well, here's the photos showing 5.
But wait. Before we get into that, that's really not important. The building that you're particularly using is certainly an anomaly, number one.
You're misunderstanding what I said. I did not say we're using this. I'm saying that this was a building identified as favorably on the street. I'm not using that. This does not look anything like what we're proposing.
All right. So just to make, just to organize the conversation, we are hearing comments. We are hearing, it's a conversation,
right?
In preparation for the shared joint meeting with the planning board. So all we're trying to say is that maybe I'm wrong, maybe Deepti is wrong, but I don't think that the proposal that you have is successful. Needs work, and I understand. But convince us that what you're proposing is wonderful, and I will have no problem. And even more, I will not have a problem approving wonderful that exceeds the limitations.
And I appreciate that. What I was trying to do here was tell you that I agreed with you that a flat roof building here could work very well.
I didn't say no.
I know. Yeah.
And the step you mentioned something that this is a sloping site. You might need to apply sloping site recommendations, like in the guidelines of the the design guidelines of Dobbs Ferry. If apply, you don't have to have like 4-story in the front and 2-story in the back. It could be the other way around.
No, actually, they're saying that we can't do that.
Okay, so maybe
that's the problem we ran into at 100 Main. Well, they didn't let us.
We are in 156 Palisades, not 100 Main. 100 Main was a long story and still going. So
yeah,
let's focus on 156 Palisades. So that said, again, this is an intro to the joint meeting, and Paul, Brandon are welcome to opine on this, what's their feeling, and I hope they will join us at the joint meeting with the planning.
I just have one thing to add, just looking at this, and I agree that it needs work. I haven't had a chance to digest it as much, but even if you use the outlier on the street and the flat roof, it reads like a 3-story building.
It's a 4-story. It reads as a 4-story.
I'm talking about the building proposed that Patty's talking about reads as a 4-story. I agree, but if you go back to the outlier, it's down the street at 139.
It's a 3-story.
It's a 3-story, and it reads like a 3-story, and it's definitively a 3-story. So I think the crux of the issue, in my eyes, is that the building that you're proposing, it reads as a 4-story building. It has terraces and all the other things that no other building on the entire street has.
But the terraces are good.
Great.
Brandon, us trying to make a nicer building shouldn't be working against us.
Yeah.
The challenge with the 4 stories is the fact that we've included the parking. And if we include the parking, we're lifting that up, and we have 3 stories above it, and we actually comply with code.
But again, we are mixing issues again. Either we're trying to be contextual or we need to park cars. And I think we need to be contextual first and reinvent the parking of cars. But your challenge in design is to understand the problem and come up with the right solution.
Right.
Listen, I'm not saying it's bad, guys. I'm not suggesting that. So please don't take my comment out of they're the setbacks and trying to give every single apartment a view, right, in the sliver and how it's proposed, right, is what needs work. So if you can work out a flat roof building that reads like 3 stories that has terraces, great. But the building as a whole doesn't read and isn't in context with the rest of the street, the way that it's currently shown.
Right. Do you feel the same about the middle of the building? Because the middle of the building is 3 stories on the basement. Same as this one here. Same as this one here.
Whatever you do with one side or the other, it's going to change the entire approach.
Okay.
And you look at, I'm not picking one piece of this jigsaw puzzle, right? I think the puzzle needs to, it's a completely different feel. You're going to touch one thing, you're not going to be able to maintain the other portions of it. It's going to have to be realized in a different way, right? So
and that's what makes it challenging. And as much as I'd like to agree with Ahrb that we could stay in the kind of more poetic side of it, the moment that I focus there, I'm going to be hammered with our irresponsibility of not promoting parking as our most important thing.
No, I didn't say not promoting parking. I say that the only reason we are living here is because of the poetic side and not because of the parking.
But I can't not provide the parking, which affects what I can do with the massing. So it's an interesting combination of concerns.
Or reduce the number of units, really, so that you can have the parking and the visual and the context, everything. I don't agree with you about not being able to build something that's,
How big was your property with the 4 units? How big is the property?
About 8,800 square feet.
Okay. So that's about the same as this, but I just don't think that we can make it. I don't think we can get it to work in terms of finances on it. And I do think we need more units in the village.
That's a different discussion, Patty.
That's a different discussion, really. I think that there's solutions to both. You could look at it in a different way, but I think that certainly I would not buy that it's not financially viable, and that's why you need, to get a 40% or a 50%. I would have a problem with that.
Please remember what I said was we were told that the village that the group working on this had come up with 40%, which is what they have done. So we worked with that 40%. When we presented the 40%, we found out that they were talking about having a sliding scale for the 3 properties on the street that are bigger.
But that, Patty, there's a sliding scale written for larger properties. It's already in the code.
Not applicable to the zoning district.
Sorry, Dan, can you clarify?
The sliding scale was originally written as the 1-family and 2-family houses.
Dan, what's your take on this?
Yes, it was for the 1 and 2 families, the sliding scale.
Okay, so does it apply to this zoning district, or yes?
Not yet. They were speaking about it, but none of that's been approved as of yet.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And in my opinion, that's a wrong direction, because none of these properties on this street that are being used as positive examples comply with that. Don't forget, the average on the street is 42% site coverage.
I'll review the calculation that we did with Ed Manley, and I think it's different.
What you guys did is you eliminated the outliers. The outliers were all the ones that had greater. This building has 78% site coverage. That's this small building.
Yeah, but would you agree with me that you cannot take an outlier as a basis for?
I can't define outlier as 50% of the properties on the street. An outlier to me is, when we started outliers, the only building that was being included was the building at the corner at 75 Main.
We spent a good amount of time with,
You guys did. We're finding out what you guys did.
But I'm not only talking about it. There is a deeper discussion to have, which is what's contextual for the street. Prove to me that this works on the street, and the discussion is over.
I mean, look at it, Patty. It's so voluminous in comparison with what you have shown. It just simply does not belong on the street. It really doesn't.
It's the biggest lot on this side of the street, and it is not bigger than this building.
Even the one that 78% looks, much more in proportion to the street.
In terms of being only 3 stories through, with no parking on the site, and occupying 78% of the site on a flat lot. If this was a flat lot, it would be easier. If we didn't have parking, it would be easier.
No, there's a design for everything. I'm sure you need to go back to the drawing board and come back with something that's more attractive.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Dipti on that.
It's just not in proportion to anything, not to the street. The building is massive. That left side portion is just not in proportion to anything.
I think the building itself, the two sides of the building, they're not in in harmony with each other. The building is massive itself.
Fighting each other.
And this is a fun trick in the eye that you have the corner building, which is something, it's a building that I respect a lot. The corner building of Palisade and
Cedar. This one, the 4-story right here.
Yeah, it's you can call it a three-story building, 4-story building.
It's a 4-story building.
It's a what?
It's a 4-story building according to the village.
But look, it's a 4-story building. Yours is triple this, triple the size, but it look out of proportions. It's like it's a miniature.
This is 5 stories.
It's like something is really off. Look at one to the next. It's like on a different scale. One is in a quarter scale, and the other one is in a half scale, whatever it is.
Because of the extra width, where this is set at 46 feet.
It's just an issue of the eye.
But I don't. The mistake is thinking of it in that term, I think. because I don't think you ever see it flattened out like that. I think you're looking at it set back, which I think feels very different. Just so that you're aware of it, I hear, because I don't know if you were at that meeting, one of the things that we were encouraged to do was to break the building itself into more than one mass.
I didn't say no on that one.
So we did.
I'm just saying that it's just still not working. Look, I think that it's not the end of the world. It's just needs work. That's all. I think it's, you can accomplish a lot with what you do, or the direction that you do. You need to adjust and tweak proportions.
Okay.
I mean, if you just look at your street plan, Patty, the building on the right-hand side, you're telling me is in the same line, but it's not. Look at your tax map or whatever you have there.
The site plan that we did for the village?
Yeah, the village, the street.
Yeah, because we actually did this. We did the whole street.
Building on the right is definitely set back much more than what you have.
From this one piece, which we're saying is meeting the front of the building, this is actually a little bit further forward. And obviously, when you get to these, they're all much closer to the street.
Look, the setbacks, I think it's what's happening on the street is very complex.
Yeah.
The building on the corner that is on 0 lot line, and then they have 10, 15, and moving, the porches and the building that the brick building that 4 stories on the property line. There is something very diverse happening. But at the same time, there is an underlying order that gives character to the street. And this Parasite Street follows a pattern on the river towns. It's not only on, there is something interesting happening that is, we have to be sensitive to it and preserve it and build on it. And I will try to protect it.
Agreed. One mistake we have in this, obviously, is these should not be dark gray. They, I just noticed that we've done the porches in a light gray. These porches should be in the light gray, which is probably one of the reasons that it reads like it's different.
Okay. Okay.
So
I think it's a great overview. I like that you're open to discussion, and I think that looking forward to the planning board joint meeting. But that's.
And you're going to be able to be there in a week and a couple of days, so it'll be exciting. Yes. We'll see how that goes.
Yes.
I mentioned one other thing to you. Is it okay if I mention that to the board? This is 100 for tomorrow night.
Say it again. Can you say it again? Yes, of course. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let's see. Brandon, this is one I want to make sure that you're aware of, because I could see you getting very aggravated at what's going on if it goes in the direction it's going and blaming me, which I'd rather not be the one that's blamed for it. In fact, I've pretty well taken a hard stance on it, and I think it's going to make things fly apart. We obviously went to you guys for 100 Main. You guys made a recommendation. That recommendation was, I guess, a year ago, January. And the board, or no, it was just this year. COVID's completely confused me. It was January, you guys made a recommendation. We're before the Board of Trustees now, and they have now decided that the 50% rule is very important in the village, so that the 4th floor has to be 50% of the 3rd floor, and they're encouraging us to increase the size of the 3rd floor while we decrease the size of the 4th floor. We did that by extending the 3rd floor out over the porch, and I will be very candid with this board. My hope was that when we showed them what we were doing, they would have the same reaction that Steve Tilley did, which was that the design that was recommended for approval by the Architectural Review Board was a much better design, and that the 50% thing is relatively, it shouldn't really be the factor. So this is the plan that you guys approved. It had the building set back from the front, set back on the side, and kind of a building going over it. And this is what they are encouraging us to, or asking us to do, which is extend it out. They actually are suggesting that I come further out with that to make it bigger, so that the fourth floor would hit the 50%. This would be the other side. This would be the section. I think that this is wrong. The letter I submitted to them was that the Architectural Review Board and the Planning Board spent a tremendous amount of time and energy on this application, and that at this point in time, to have it being tweaked by the Board of Trustees is simply a wrong step in a process. And I don't know if I've got the sand to back this up.
I'm not sure that this is appropriate to be discussing right now here.
Why?
Why? Because this has nothing to do with any of the stuff that's on the agenda right now. So I appreciate if we could leave this to the meeting that's tomorrow night. Actually on this topic.
What I was asking them to do is be aware of it. So if they cared about it, they'd have the opportunity to comment.
Okay, but you're not saying things that are true. You're saying things that are not true. We did not recommend that you enlarge the third floor. You said you needed to enlarge the third floor in order to make it 50%. That's not us recommending that you enlarge the third floor. So let's just do this tomorrow night at the appropriate meeting and be done with tonight's meeting now. Thanks.
Thank you.
So you guys are aware of it. If you care about it, you know, maybe make comment tomorrow night.
Okay, thank you. The last thing that we recall is sending from our board, sending the recommendation that with Michael Patino, when Michael Patino was chairman, and that's as far as we go for now. This is a continuation meeting for 156, John. We continue this meeting.
It's going to be a continuation.
Okay. Yep. So let's say for 150, what's pertinent for 156 Palisades, I make a motion to continue this application. Do I have a second?
Second.
50 seconds. All in favor? Thank you. And I make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Do I have a second? All seconds. All in favor. Thank you all. Thank you, Patty, for your patience tonight, and good luck tomorrow at the presentation. Okay.
Thank you, Ayer.
Thank you all.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.